very warm welcome to all our listeners around the world. You're welcome to our annual Black History Month celebrations. Normally for the past 7 years, we've been organizing the Black History Month celebrations at the UK House of Parliament, and it's attracted role models and community leaders from different parts of the country and different parts of the world. Unfortunately, due to COVID this year, we were not able to make it to Parliament, but it's a profound pleasure to have some amazing key speakers in our midst today, making a difference to humanity. And our theme on Black History Month celebrations this year is the importance of being the change you want to see in society. Always remember, if there's a product, initiative, or community event you would like to promote, feel free to give me a call on 0788 280 9005. Once again, that number is 0788 280 9005. Or visit my international blog at www.tonyfernandez.co.uk. It's all about promoting the true life and success stories of African and Caribbean achievers around the world. And I have to say, I'm very, very proud of all the key speakers we have today because they're making a difference in different parts of the world. They're based in Nigeria, they're based in Jamaica, they're based in New Zealand, and it's a pleasure to have them all for the very first time. I would like to bring on our very first speaker for today. She is the wife of the late legendary superstar Gregory Icic. Her name is June Icic, and she's so happy and proud to dedicate her session today in loving memory of our superstar Gregory Icic. And I'm sure there's something you'll have to learn from this. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
This is a time when we highlight the many accomplishments and contributions that Africans and Blacks on a whole have made to the sciences, education, entertainment, social justice, and more. My name is Jude. Greetings from Jamaica. Thanks for your gracious invitation to speak on an icon of popular music, the entertainer, the songwriter, who happens to be my late husband, Gregory Icic. Gregory Icic was a unique artist in every sense of that word. From his voice, to his sense of style, to his songwriting skills, and also his fantastic humor. I want to look at Gregory Icic through the following lens: his voice and his songwriting and comedic skills. Through this, we can assess his contribution to popular culture and the Black experience. His voice can never be compared with any other singer. His voice was his and his alone. It was unmistakable as it was powerful. Whilst his vocals were not powerful in the usual sense, his voice had the power to captivate without having to oversing or sing very loudly. From love songs to social commentary to protest, Gregory had the power to make it work. Songs like Slave Driver, Storm, One Man Against the World, Our Drugs are all examples of his ability to create great songs of resistance. Finally, I want to look at a lesser known side of Gregory, his comedic talent. Most artists and music industry folks will tell you that Gregory was a legendary comedian, known for his quick quips and his turn of words to make people just laugh. Thousands of studio tales are still circulating about Mr. Isic's ability to make everyone around him laugh. It was some of these things that made him so beloved by everyone worldwide. Even when he was the brunt of the jokes due to his struggles. Today, as his widow, I stand very proud.
Moving swiftly on, guys, this is our Black History Month celebrations. Normally takes place at the UK House of Parliament, but due to COVID reasons, we're bringing it to you now virtually. And we now would like to bring on our next speaker, who is an amazing, amazing gentleman. He is a politician, pastor. He's a leader of a peace alliance, and he was also the mayoral candidate for the mayor of London. I'm very proud of the great work he continues to do in the community. So it's a pleasure to have Mr. Nims Obunge. Welcome to our Black History Month celebrations virtually, and nice to see you. You're looking very well.
As a young Black man, many years ago, I remember I was asked to write about my Black hero. I'm in the Guardian newspaper. And one would have thought that I would write about Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, or some of the great names that have lived on the face of this earth. But I considered my greatest hero, and I wrote about my dad, because I realized that the one who has fashioned my thinking and helped me to become the person I am today was my father, Ambassador Didi Obunge. And dare I say, he couldn't have done that without an amazing mom. My father passed away about 21 years ago. My mom just passed away this year. But she was 96 and he was much younger when he passed. But I realized the importance of family when we speak about Black History Month. And I think there is something vital that we should never forget, the power of family. Listening to June speak about her husband and the impact he had, not so much just on her, but on the world. My father, Ambassador Didi Obunge, was a phenomenal leader. And I remember many years ago, when we were kids, he was held at gunpoint and by some folks who wanted him to go on his knees. And that was not the time he was ready to go on his knees, because then he represented the Nigerian nation as an ambassador. And they hit him with a gun, trying to force him to go down. But he felt that if he knelt down, in essence, what he was saying was Nigeria was on its knees. And so he refused to bow the knee at that point in time. Then eventually those men who were, they were caught, they were Nigerians at that, and they were about to be extradited straight to Nigeria. And the punishment was quite severe in those days. And my dad refused for them to be taken back. He asked for leniency. And what he did was something very unique. He invited them to our home, having forgiven them, for a Christmas party. Now, how do I remember that? Because they brought me a box of chocolates. But what I'm trying to point out here is that there's a lot of trauma in our community, a lot of pain in our community, and sometimes a lot of unforgiveness and bitterness, and revenge sometimes happens quite viciously. 20-something years ago, I started an organization called the Peace Alliance. And the Peace Alliance was to respond to the tensions of young Black children killing themselves on our streets here in the United Kingdom. And I yearned to see, and I still do, yearn to see a difference where young people we become a brother's keeper. And even when something goes wrong in our community, the best response is not to take another life. And so the Peace Alliance has continued to work with government, work with the police. I used to chair the London Criminal Justice Board Advisory Group, overseeing criminal justice all over London, and take responsibility to see that we responded to the knife crime crisis. So we started something called Operation Blood. But within our organization, we had a leadership project that was driven with its responsibility to ensure that young people who came out of prison were given job opportunities. That remains an ongoing passion. And I will come to that in just a moment. But I think that there is a responsibility we have as a community to look after our own. And with it, I remember going into Belmarsh prison and having over 100 Black prisoners in prison. And it was part of the Black History Month project. And I said, guys, if we're going to talk about our history, what I don't want to see is more of you incarcerated in prison, because this is not about revolving doors. We've got to come to that place where we start looking at the opportunities that exist outside of prison so that our children are raised in a protected environment and we don't always find ourselves caught out by the criminal justice system. I realize that there is a significant overrepresentation of young Black men and women in a criminal justice system. Over the years, what happened was I set up an organization to address that, a project to address young people in prison, and it was called Inside Out. The intentions of Inside Out was to say to young men and women that we have to do better. We have to ensure that it's not a badge of honor to get incarcerated in Her Majesty's prisons. And we've got to start providing opportunities. So there was a 5-point strategy we began to look at. And I want to put that to us as we discuss Black history, as we talk about the opportunities that we have. The first thing was about parenting that was proper. What structures, and we as an African and, and when I say a Black community, we have great parenting opportunities here. And I feel that we've got to look at where parenting structures may have failed, because the first encounter a child has is the parent. So what are we doing to support the parenting structures that exist within a society? The second thing for me was about education that was effective and showing that we have a holistic education within our school system. Then there was a thing about achievements that are celebrated. So it's parenting, education, achievements that are celebrated. And then the fourth thing was about communities mobilized. The African saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And the fifth was enterprise that was sustainable, making sure that when we get to the pinnacle, we're able to rise and do something and give back to society. I used to be a journalist, and I interviewed George Foreman. And when I interviewed George Foreman, I said, George, give me a message to young people in the United Kingdom. And George was coming back into boxing back then. And George Foreman said something. He said, if they wake up in the morning without a dream, they should go back to sleep. Now, we know Martin Luther King was all about dreams, and we know about his phenomenal speech, and I have a dream. And so when George Foreman said to me, if young people wake up in the morning without a dream, they need to go back to sleep, there was something that resounded, there was a resonance for me in relation to that statement. The first acronym I gave about parenting, education, achievements, communities, and enterprise, that's an acronym for peace. How do you make peace possible? As a Christian, I remember the scripture says that Jesus came over the city of Jerusalem and he wept and he said, if only you knew the things that make for your peace. And then I read again in Jeremiah, the Bible speaks about how we should seek the peace of the city that we're caused to be held in. So, I feel that there's a responsibility to seek the peace of our city. But when it comes to giving dreams, it's about DREAM, developing real examples and mentors. How do we develop real examples and mentors? How do we give young people something to hope about and not feel that their future is encased in a criminal justice future? How do we give them something that makes them know that they have an opportunity to break through the glass ceiling? Earlier on this week, I spoke at a Black History Month event for the Department for Works and Pensions and HSBC, the HSBC headquarters over in Canary Wharf here in London. And I had to make known a very unfortunate reality. that of the 650 senior investment bankers across all the banks here in London, that only 3 of them were Black. So in essence, of 650 senior decision makers in the banking system, only 3 were Black. 2 of them were from the Bank of America, and 1 was from Deutsche Bank. But and then again, when Financial News asked for reporting structure for where the managerial positions existed for Black members within the banking industry, they were not able to produce them. Most of them were reluctant and refused to give that. And then furthermore, when the government said that the financial sector and the banking sector should consider a 2-year program in order to ensure there's more diversity within the banking structure, most of them refused to sign up to it. So when we speak about Black history, for me, we've got to recognize that there is a force of sometimes resistance to our rising through the ranks, but we have to be resilient. We have to make sure that we don't give in. I am driven by an agenda to see not just Black people thrive here in the United Kingdom, but I want to see a global positioning where we are proud of our heritage, proud of our Blackness, but also that we recognize how great we are as a race and our value to society generally. And I will not stop until I see that happen. Most of us recall that in the season of the lockdown, we had a very unfortunate incident that happened in the United States, and that was the killing of George Floyd. Now that created protests all over many parts of the world, including here in the United Kingdom. And having sat on the Stop and Search Scrutiny panel for the Met Police and sat on a series of advisory boards to the government, I know the levels of sometimes, dare I say, institutional racism that exists in our nation, and some that might be intentional, some unintentional. I felt that I needed to get out on the streets and walk with the families, Black, white, and others, children, young children and old adults, all of us out on the streets, saying there's gotta be a better way to achieve a future that secures our children and our children's children. I was walking across the road and there was a zebra crossing. And I realized that the zebra crossing has Black and white markings in order to cross over. And it dawned on me, for us to get from the place of inequality to the place of equity and fairness for all, we need to be willing to get over to that zebra crossing where we're not looking at just Black efforts, but a partnership of Black, white, brown communities, all of us working together to provide the future that declare. In one sense, we're saying that every individual in our nation, every individual in our city has immense personal worth and dignity and purpose, and that we need to ensure that we stand with the majority in our nation in rejecting racism in all its forms, and that we stand as one people to ensure that no matter the color of your skin, no matter the background you come from, prosperity is possible for all people. So here we are celebrating Black History Month, recognizing that here in the United Kingdom, the impact of slavery over the years, in one sense or the other, is still something of great concern to all. I remember I attended an event which kind of gave me a point of concern, and I'm bringing a book to show you right here, and it was called Runaways London. This book captures the newspaper adverts for young people who had run away as slaves. So in the London Gazette, on the 22nd of September, 1690, it was written, an Indian Black girl aged about 15 with a brass collar about her neck in a drugget gown and a painted calico petticoat run away from Captain John Browser in Rotherhithe on Monday night last. Whoever brings her to Captain Bower aforesaid shall have a guinea reward and charges. This book was presented by the University of Glasgow, and it was capturing the history of slavery and what the runaway slaves encountered. And so we had young Black poets who wrote their poetry based on the stories of these runaway slaves who are trying to secure their own future. Folks, that freedom from slavery is still a freedom I believe that we still need to pursue. Freedom from slavery that exists when our young girls are being forced to sell drugs, our young boys down county lines. I think it's still a slavery when we find sexual exploitation that happens that beggars belief in our nation. And many Black nations have been impacted by this. I feel that we have a responsibility to one another to secure the future of all generations of our community, within our communities. There are many runaways and many that would wish they could run away. And our responsibility is to fight together, believe together, work together for an emancipation that needs not just to happen way back in the 18th, 19th, and 20th century, but here we are in the 21st century. Slavery, racism is still a concern to all. Let us be united and fight for the future of our nation and our nations.
And we have now another amazing speaker who I just got to see. We had a phone call about 3 weeks ago, and his story is profound. He is an award-winning journalist, originally from Guyana. He's also a business management consultant, and he's also here to tackle the issue and talk more about migrant entrepreneurship in the UK, the British dimension. There's so much to learn from him, and I hope you enjoy it. So it's a pleasure to have with us today, as part of our Black History Month celebrations, Dr. Christopher Johnson. Welcome to our Black History Month celebrations, UK House of Parliament, here virtually. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. There's a lot spoken about female employment in the United Kingdom. In fact, one reading suggested that the population regarding females are in excess of 50%. And yet only a third of women across minority ethnic sectors are self-employed. One of the challenges, of course, behind that figure is the lack of enterprise support and technical assistance to women and young women who are interested in businesses, etc. We have 80 to 90% of our clients are women, young women, women who are going to university, going to school, as well as those who are starting businesses or existing businesses. And their main concern is the lack of support that they have. They have so many ideas. We see this in Africa, we see it in the Indian subcontinent, Caribbean and Latin American region, and we also see it here at home in Europe, where women have lots of talents and they don't have access to the information and data, as well as young people. The left-hand side of the screen, you will see young people who are so-called deprived, who are experiencing material poverty. They're engaged in one of our city council's program on youth poverty. And so we are teaching them employability skills so that they can command the world of work and service. On the right-hand side of the screen at the top, we are celebrating the heritage communities of Africans, Caribbeans, and South Asian peoples respectively. And the person who's speaking there is chair of a funding body, Heritage Lottery Fund. We have a professor there in the center, and on the right-hand side, we have a tailor who was the first person to establish a tailoring establishment, a person of color in this country. On the left-hand side, we are officiating a European Social Fund program to help people of color and others to take part in enterprise development. In fact, some of them have already set up businesses. And the final slide photograph on your screen, these are refugee communities. You would notice from their facial expression, they are attending a class on commercial English as well as employability skills. And that is just a subtext of some of the things that we are engaged in as a people. And finally, we are celebrating migrant entrepreneurship not by speechification, not by hectoring, not by just encouraging and genuflecting to the establishment or chin wagging. We are developing a legacy. We are penning the histories of various minority ethnic communities in this country. And we've already completed 2 publications, the British Caribbean as well as the Anatomy of British South Asian Enterprise. And next year, we hope to publish the origins of British African entrepreneurship.
We're going to now move on to Lagos, Nigeria, where we can speak to a profound media icon who has been around in the entertainment industry in Nigeria for quite a long time. He is Mr. Charles Chukwuemeka Oputa, Area FADA 1. He continues to make great strides. He's a singer, songwriter, publisher. He has his fingers in so many pies. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic that he's here to celebrate Black History Month here with us today, because he also is an example of us being the change we want to see in society as part of Black History Month. So it's so lovely to have you here, Area FADA. How are you today?
I'm good. And you? How are you today?
I'm very well, and you're looking very, very colorful, sharp, and profound, you know. And
Yeah.
as you relax there, you've been listening to some of our speakers there from
Yeah.
different experiences. And what are your thoughts?
Wonderful. I've been really educated this morning, this afternoon rather, and yeah, you start to wonder why when our people leave the shores of this environment, they start to blossom. They start to spread their wings, which means we really need to fix the homeland. Yeah, that's what I said, you know. But it's been quite insightful.
Now, you're a perfect example of being the change we want to see in society. How important is it for us today to take the bulls by the horn and be that change in what we do?
Yeah,
Without...
because as far as young people are concerned, it is their future. It is their dream. I mean, you don't want to sit around and be so nonchalant about it when other people are making decisions about your future. We can't leave politics to just politicians, not the kind we have right here back home, you know. So, but no matter how hopeless the situation may look right now, because of the insecurity and what's happening in Nigeria right now, I still say that the salvation of this country lies in the hands of its exceptional people. And I've been proud to say that I've met exceptional Nigerians who stand out. So I know that it's just a question of time. Water should find its level.
Now, you've been in the entertainment, sorry.
Because this kind of injustices that we are experiencing at this time in our history just cannot be sustained.
Now, you've been in the entertainment industry for a very long time now, and we were humbled to have June Icic today as well, the wife of the legendary Gregory Icic, who made a great mark, you know. What does Gregory Icic mean to you?
Oh, one of the fathers of reggae. Yeah, a big fan. That's what it means. Yeah.
And we have people now from Guyana today, Jamaica, all sorts, you know. I know you've also come out with some fantastic songs and all that. For the benefit of all our listeners who are going to be listening to this on various platforms around the world, where can they find your music as well and your
just go
social
on
media?
YouTube. Go on YouTube. Meet me on Instagram. Area FADA 1. FADA is in FADA. You know, and the figure 1 at yahoo.com. Yeah.
Fantastic.
All the musical channels, you know, you can find it there too.
And we're proud of you. We're so humbled we have you today.
Before
you go, Black History Month here in the UK, celebrated in the States in February. What does a time like this mean to you?
It means everything. It means to uphold our culture, because we can't let that disappear. You know, we always need to touch base. We always need to remember where we're coming from exactly. So it's very important. It's one of the things that I feel that we need to do more often, because we're somehow our culture, our religion, our real authentic culture, religion is sort of slipping away, and we can't allow that to happen. So it's a good thing.
Beautiful. And we look forward to your next visit to UK and other parts of Europe.
I'm looking forward to that too. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Area FADA.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is Black History Month celebrations, celebrating the true life stories of people making a difference in different corners around the world. And we're also going to still move on to Lagos, where we have, he's going to speak very briefly. We've got an exceptional man. His name is Ingram Jones. His brand is BWTM Online. Now, this gentleman is of Trinidadian and Grenadian heritage, and he moved out to Nigeria over 9 months ago. He's now in Nigeria at the moment. So he's going to talk a bit about his brand and also his experiences so far in Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Tony, for having me on your show today. And congratulations to all the guests you've had on the show. Absolutely amazing, the information and the work they do. Keep up the great work and keep rising. And the reason why BWTM Online is there today is because I found a lot of the work that people of color, particularly Black people, was very not represented a lot within the national mainstream media, which I call mainstream media. And I find that our voice a lot of times is either silenced or it's not out there in a way that would, you know, they would come and report about things, the great things we're doing in our communities. And I found that not just within my own personal life, the achievements I did within becoming a national community champion in 2011 through doing cricket work, I noticed then that they wouldn't give me the coverage, despite hitting 8.5 million homes. The media still didn't cover it the way it should have been covered. And the work that I was doing within the communities, and I realized it wasn't just me. I've seen a lot of people, Black people, not being represented the way they should be represented. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to build a media outlet. And I traveled to the Caribbean. I went to Grenada, spent 3 years out there. And that's why I started to build BWTM Online. And through that journey, I've managed to speak to some amazing people. The former manager of Destiny's Child, Muhammad Ali's brother, some really great interviews. The student minister under the Honourable Minister Farrakhan. I managed to speak to some amazing people and still continue to speak to amazing people and amazing voices, and the work that they do, being able to highlight that and show that on BWTM Online. So everything is BWTM Online. So it's on Facebook, BWTM Online, or BWTM Online TV. On Instagram, it's BWTM Online. Facebook, BWTM Online. Website, bwtmonline.com. Yeah, that's it. And of course, on Amazon TV, BWTM Online TV. and on Google Play Store, it's BWTM online.
We're also going to still stay in Nigeria because we also have another media giant as well doing amazing work. He's been a great supporter of me for many years. He's a media trainer, broadcaster. His brand is called KLEVEREST, and he's also here to talk about the services he's now offering, not just in Nigeria, but in Africa and also to the rest of the world. So it's such a pleasure to have Mr. Leonard. Welcome to our Black History Month celebrations. Our listeners will want to know a bit more about your brand, your broadcast initiatives, your training, your services, and all that you're providing at the moment.
So I could say I have a hand in over 80–90% of the stations in the country. And you find out that we depend a lot on Western influences. Whatever the Western media says, we just re-echo. And a lot of times we lose what we have. Our dear area father was talking about our lost culture. Now, for me, lost culture is not only those traditional kind of culture that we know and export, but also our way of life. Ingram talked about the love, he experienced here. What's his name? Talked about the family, Mrs. Icic talked about the family also. Those are the kind of cultures we have. The attitude of helping one another, the attitude of helping ourselves to grow. Yes, we see a lot of infighting, but that is not really us. 90% of us, no matter what you see in anybody, even a criminal, there's always that strong element of helping someone to be better. And that's one thing we have that we are, I would say, miles ahead of other climes. And that is something we need to show to the world. So getting into helping stations, I got to see the power of communication. And now social media has come into it. Whatever goes out there is what people follow. So if you don't put out positive things, people will just keep on following the negative things, and the younger ones are not going to learn much. So I started the campaign to encourage, first of all, the traditional media, which still controls everything here, to be able to put out development-focused stories. It's not just the negative things and all that, or this one said that, or what the politicians say. No. Stories that can help the ordinary Nigerian live a better life. Stories that can help people aspire. Stories that can make people, feel there's hope. Helping people set up development-focused stations. Stations that would be able to tell the positive, stations that were able to do programs that help people live better lives. I'm glad that one of the ladies we had in 2017, she just had 4 months internship experience in a state school. Today, she's one of the biggest health broadcasters in Africa. Just a few weeks ago, she was on the panel for Internews Network, the International Organization Internews Network, talking about investigative reporting in the health sector. Last year, she was the only Nigerian that was featured in IJNet's international journalist meet online, where you had 8,000 journalists, and she was there, just a young lady. So that's what we do, help young people, train them, show them what to do, and turn them into stars.
We're going to swiftly move on now to all the way in New Zealand, because we have an amazing woman, an amazing lady who is a published author. She is also an inspirational speaker. She's a founder of very many African initiatives, originally from Zimbabwe in Southern Africa. So it's a pleasure to have today Getrude Matshe joining us as part of our Black History Month celebrations.
Good evening, everyone. It's an absolute honor to be here today. In my native language, I would say to you, Maneru Masquera Sei, which literally translated means good evening, how has been your day? I'm going to start my presentation with a tribute to my beloved parents. My father, Joseph Solomon Bere, who died on the 10th of June, 2018, and my beloved mother, Evangelista Bere, who I lost during COVID on the 23rd of April, 2020. I'll commemorate their passing with a poem called Beloved Africa. Beloved Africa, as I run from your shores, my heart is filled with sores, open wounds from rapidly closing doors. I shall miss the sunshine, the warm rain, the thunderstorms, the plains. I shall long for sun-kissed mangoes, overripe bananas, and the sweet, sweet taste of watermelons on a hot summer's day. Blue skies and green cornfields with healthy yields, crimson sunsets and bright white smiles that flow for miles. And though I leave you, I will forever be your messenger. I am your ambassador to the world. Mama Africa, from your womb I leave. Through your warmth, your pain, you birthed me. And deep, deep down within my soul, my very being, I know I am. I am a child of Africa. Blue skies, wide open fields, rumbling hills and waterfalls. Your memory shall forever be etched in my soul as I compose this sweet, sweet melody to my beloved Africa. We commemorate Black History Month today in the middle of a global pandemic. And I'd like you to just close your eyes for a moment and imagine for a moment if we could solve the world's problems like our blood heals wounds. My name is Getrude Matshe Kanitsky. I'm the proud mother of 3 beautiful children and a first-time grandmother to an amazing 3-month-old grandson. And my message to you today is that the coronavirus is the gift that has come to unite humanity. And Ubuntu is the vaccine that we can use to solve our current world crisis. Ubuntu ngamuntu ngabantu is an African philosophy that is very close to my heart. Literally translated, it means I am because you are. So Ubuntu emphasizes a lifestyle of radical connection to others as a solution to solve the world's problems.